All right, mate, thanks for the follow-up questions. I'm in the car heading into town, so I figured I'd record you a quick video to answer those questions. So I understand that working for project builders and doing this kind of B2B work is challenging for a couple of reasons. One, because they are a for-profit business, they're trying to get the kind of supplementary trades at the lowest possible price. The first thing you need to realize is that good builders will prioritize working with good supplemental trades, right? So you definitely have the opportunity to negotiate. For many of our clients who do this kind of work, whether it be for the government or whether it be for builders or tier ones, whatever it might be, we look at their pricing, and in many cases it's unsustainable. It's actually not profitable. So we've created a framework that we can crunch the numbers and get them to go back and negotiate. And for those people, obviously they don't like it necessarily, but they understand that you're running a business, you need to make a profit, and if you aren't profitable, you're not going to be around to do that service. And sure, there's going to be some dickheads that don't care. Those are not the kinds of builders that you want to be working with. So if you can do your pricing and understand your cost to serve, obviously what your operating expenses are for your business, and working out what your profit margin should be. So for the vast majority of our trade clients, we aim for a 20% operating profit or above. For some of them, they're actually at 30%, right? Of course, if they're doing more of that kind of B2B work, their margins are less. What we found is when we evaluate the profit margins for many of our trade clients working with, say, project builders or whatnot, they're either not making margin at all, or their margins are less than 10%. What's the point? There's not enough meat on the bone to buffer against pricing changes and skilled labor shortages and all of these things that we experience in business. So we want to go back and negotiate. So I advocate that you do that. The second part is, yes, you should be looking to get private work, but that obviously is a completely different business model, and that requires you to have time and bandwidth in order to go out and reposition yourself to attract that kind of work. Now, obviously we can charge more margin for private work, but it requires us to get leads and opportunities. So we've got to understand digital marketing, whereas the B2B stuff, you can build a relationship with one person and you can get as much work as you will ever need, right? The B2C work is different. So you need to understand the digital marketing and the sales aspect, and that requires you to have bandwidth. So the prerequisite to that is systems. Now, I know you also mentioned that you've been working on systems, but you're trying to get the team to follow them, and they don't. And this comes down to a couple of things. One, you have not recognized the path of least resistance. As human beings, we follow the path of least resistance. So if your system is not the easiest and simplest way to do things, try to convince people to do it that way, particularly when they've been doing it another way for an extended period of time, is hard work. So you need to make sure that it is actually the simplest path. How do you work out the simplest path? Well, number two, you need to get your team involved in the creation of the systems and processes, because if you're just dictating what needs to happen, then they're gonna be like, yeah, whatever. Whereas when they've been actively involved in building out the systems and processes and contributing their ideas, their frustrations to the process, then they feel like they've got ownership of those systems and processes. So I advocate that you make a time, whether it be once a week, to catch up for a toolbox catch up with your team, have an agenda, talk about, okay, what are our wins for the week? What can we learn? Do some case studies. Two, what are our biggest frustrations? What's causing you headaches? What didn't work as expected? What's causing you time blowouts or whatever? Where can we create things simple? And then we want to work through it together over that conversation in order to discuss those pain points, discuss the potential solutions, and then come up with the systems, right? The third part is making sure that the systems are top of mind and relevant at all times. This could be as simple as, for many of our trade clients, they print off a checklist that they stick on the inside of the windscreen of the truck, and it's like, okay, at the end of my job, have I done this? Have I written my notes? Have I updated the CRM? Have I sent out the quote? Have I asked for the client testimonials? Yada, yada, yada. Obviously, that doesn't work for all of the systems in your business. Other than that, you need to set up some sort of intranet. So for many of our clients, they use a system called Trainual. There's other tools like Confluence. You can set up a Google site. There's plenty of different things that you can do to set up an intranet. And you need to make it the path of least resistance for people to go on there and essentially review the system or process. The last tip is that you need to have your systems and processes in a series of formats. So the first thing you should have is a video. For the first time somebody is learning something, they want to watch a video because they not only want to see how it's done, they want to get the context of how it's explained by somebody who knows what they're doing. Now, once you've watched that video a first time, you're never going to watch it again. So it's for somebody who's an amateur of that particular system or process. Second, you need to have a swim lane diagram, a visual model. If you don't know what a swim lane diagram is, comment below and I can do a separate video on this. And what this will allow you to do is to create a visual model of how a system should work. And it's very, very easy. They can pull up on their phone if it's on an intranet and they can see exactly how it goes and kind of follow the steps and who's involved and whatnot. And then the last one is you need a checklist. The checklist is an audit, right? If you've done something already and you just want to double check that you've done it all correctly and that you followed all of the steps, because it's really simple, it's easy to go through, it's very linear. So if you've got all of your systems and processes documented in that way, it's going to make life so much easier for you and for your team. Now, once you create those systems and processes, you need to start removing yourself from the business, because that's what the systems and processes should be there for. And that's going to help you create the bandwidth to then start focusing on the B2C sales and marketing in order to build up your private pipeline to then get the high margin work, okay? Once again, I don't like to have all of my eggs in one basket. For a lot of our trade clients, they do some B2B work and B2C work, and then ultimately they can make a decision if they want to specialize in one over the other, but there's obviously pros and cons to both. So I hope this has given you some good tips, mate. And once again, my role is to be here as a business coach. I'm talking to you here from a financial expert's perspective. These are the things that drive profit. And this is from my own experience in business of growing and scaling and now an 8-figure business that we've got a team of 45. So hopefully it's a little bit of wisdom. I've got some great friends who specialize in the business coaching space for trades. Greg Allen from the Tradie Success Academy, Nick and Woz from Tradies in Business, and also a good friend of mine, Tony Fraser-Jones from the Profitable Tradie. They specialize in helping you understand the nitty-gritty details of growing and scaling a trade business. My area of expertise is helping you review your numbers, understanding the story around your numbers, and then reverse engineering that into, well, what are the things that you need to focus on that are actually going to help you move those financial needles forwards. So if you'd like some help with that, feel free to hit me up, and love to assist so we can maximize those profits and help you build more personal wealth. Catch you soon.